No 2023 movie has made a stir quite like the instantly iconic Cocaine Bear. After achieving almost instant popularity upon its release, talk of a sequel has already started circulating through the media. People say truth is stranger than fiction, but the story in 2023's Cocaine Bear is definitely more interesting than the true story behind it. In real life, the bear dubbed Pablo Escobar ate a bunch of coke that was dumped from a drug smuggling plane and died from an overdose. In the vision of bloody mayhem created by director Elizabeth Banks and writer Jimmy Warden, though, the bear in question went on a drug-fueled murder spree, mauling anyone who got in her way. Even Margot Martindale wasn't safe. Cocaine Bear landed in the zeitgeist earlier this year, taking X, then known as Twitter, by storm before its release, thanks to its wild title and even wilder premise. With so many anticipating the film's release, it ultimately grossed over $87 million at the box office. Since the film was relatively low budget, with an attention-grabbing, genre-blending concept that had a solid theatrical haul, you'd think studio executives would be eager to put out a sequel. While no follow-up movie is officially in the works yet, both Banks and producer Phil Lord have hinted that they're open to making another movie in the vein of Cocaine Bear.
Could you imagine that? Deer on cocaine?
Given that Elizabeth Banks' horror comedy only came out in February 2023, even if a sequel was greenlit, it would still be quite a while before we get to see it. Additionally, as Banks noted to Rolling Stone, this delay was only extended by the writer's strikes that went on in Hollywood throughout the summer of 2023, which Banks told Rolling Stone put a halt on the creation of any concept for a Cocaine Bear follow-up. Banks expressed support for the professional guilds involved in the labor movement in the same interview, noting that she grew up in a union family and that she saw the ongoing strike as the only opportunity for the writers to achieve the goals they've set. However, as a deal to end the strike was reached in September 2023, this particular roadblock may no longer be an issue. Even while an actual script may not have been written yet, there have been plenty of jokes about Cocaine Bear sequels in the months since the movie's release. When the cast and crew of Cocaine Bear were asked by Variety to jokingly pitch their own sequels, the ideas ranged from Adderall Alligator to Cocaine Dolphin or Cocaine Rats. O'Shea Jackson Jr. got especially creative, saying a sequel should focus on an exotic bird called the cassowary, describing it as the most dangerous bird in the world. Jokes aside, in the same interview, co-producer Phil Lord revealed that a sequel is more than just a thought exercise, confirming there had already been a pitch made for the follow-up back in February 2023. Banks herself has been pretty receptive to the idea of another installment, saying to Rolling Stone, "We had a lot of fun, and if I got the opportunity to surprise the audience and delight myself again, I would take it." For now, it sounds like any potential sequel is little more than an idea being batted around, but we can't wait to find out what that idea could be. In an interview with People magazine, Banks was asked about whether a new story about cocaine found in the waters of New Zealand might inspire a shark-themed sequel to the film. She responded enthusiastically to the idea, saying, "If there's a great story, then sure. Jaws with cocaine? I don't see how that loses." Producer Christopher Miller also mentioned the shark idea to Variety, joking that the sequel could feature both a coked-up bear and a coked-up shark battling it out. It's unclear whether the shark angle is just a fun talking point in the press or an actual story Banks might pursue. Curiously, this isn't the only real-world scenario that's arisen about coked-out sharks, as summer 2023 also saw headlines about sharks acting erratically after cocaine was dumped off the Florida coast. The original film ended with the titular bear going back to its life after leaving a string of dead bodies across the Georgia landscape. Banks has repeatedly called the movie a revenge story from the perspective of the bear, but she also had the failed war on drugs on her mind when she made it. It seems likely then that any follow-up film would take a similarly sympathetic approach to the animal at its center, highlighting the way human interference can make nature more dangerous than it would be if left alone. With many of the characters of the original cast killed off throughout Cocaine Bear's runtime, the next film may be more of a spiritual successor than a direct sequel. Either way, we're confident that the creative forces behind the original film could certainly keep its legacy of comedic terror alive with the right idea.